Today I am going to do a little demonstration on how to join 2 spindles worth of singles on a plying ball so that you can spin a spindle's worth and then put it on a plying ball and save it and then spin some more and attach it, and it'll be one continuous thread. And that really starts off for me when I first start spinning. How I start my leader to start spinning on my spindle is going to help me when I am going to do the join. So I take my roving and I stuff it into a little bag. It's got a little handle on it, and I hang it on my wrist like that, and it keeps it out of the way. I'm going to take and pull a bit of fluff out and park that spindle between my legs. I am using a Spindlewood Square spindle. It does not have a notch. You don't need a notch because the flat side is going to keep that yarn single from moving around and sliding off, and it's an awesome spindle. So I'm going to start it by pulling a little bit of fluff like this, like kind of thick, and wrapping it around and doubling it back on itself on the hook, and then pulling out a little bit, attenuating it a little bit, kind of making like a U, and then joining them together like that and pulling a little bit, but it's still going to be fairly thick. And I'm going to do a little spin clockwise, get some twist in there, get it going, and then join it kind of like that, and then pull out a little bit more and get my singles started. And see, I've got that kind of thick lump down at the bottom, but that's okay because this is going to help when I'm going to join my next single. So what I'm going to do is pull that off and slide that onto the shaft like that and kind of wrap everything around, so I'll have kind of a lump to start, and then my single's going to start the way that I want it, the thickness that I want it to be, and then I can start spinning and just keep spinning, and it's awesome. I'm using some Cormo that I had processed from Morrow Fleece Works in California. This is Cormo from Nancy Ortman in Montana, and it is lovely, 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 lovely Cormo. And you can see that I don't need a notch. I can just pull it from the side, and these Spindlewood spindles are fabulous spinners. They're very well balanced and they are gorgeous. A lot of people are really getting into supported spindling, and I'm personally a top whorl spinner. I can't use a supported spindle because of some thumb issues that I have, but this is a really great spinner. You can see it's like a dervish, just amazing how quickly it spins. And Connie and Steve Paulson of Spindlewood are about the nicest people that I have ever met. They're just so awesome. They'll work with you and you can get the spindle of your dreams. This one is tulip wood and holly, tulip wood shaft and a tulip wood whorl, and a little holly inset there. So basically you just keep spinning until you get your whole spindle's worth of yarn, however much you want. And when you are ready to go ahead and join it, you know, to wind off and then join to the next one, what you do is just kind of wind off and leave a bit of fluff. You don't want to spin all the way up to the end, just leave a bit of fluff there. And then you take your plying ball and the first one that you wind on, you don't need really that much fluff, but any subsequent one that you're going to be winding on, you're going to need to have that fluff. And so I just kind of lay it in between the crook of my 2 legs and kind of wind on. Get rid of any kinks that might be on there. Okay, so now we come to this poofy part that I left, and you can see that it's kind of poofy like that. Just pull it out a little bit, kind of attenuate it a little bit, but leave that poofiness on there. You want that poofiness. The poofiness is your friend, okay? So we're going to set that aside, and go ahead and start your next spindle's worth. So I'm going to do the same thing, assuming that I'm going to want to have more than one spindle's worth, and start it the same way. Kind of do it like that. Park and draft a little bit just to get it started. And then I'm going to take that one off, slide it onto my spindle, and wind it on there. And I am ready to spin another spindle's worth of yarn. And then I can keep going like that. Okay, so now we're going to assume that I had a full spindle's worth of yarn and I'm ready to join what I have on this spindle to what I have already wound off onto the plying ball. So again, I'm going to pull off and I'm going to leave a bit of a poof, just a little bit at the end. And then I can kind of toss this. Put that roving aside. So now I've got my plying ball, my little plying ball, and I have this little poofiness on the end and a little poofiness on the end of my spindle. Gonna make it so easy. So set the plying ball somewhere that's not gonna flop all over the place. I can put it back in that little bag just to keep it out of the way. So now I've got poof on the plying ball, I've got poof on the spindle. I'm gonna join my two poofs together like that. You can see they're kind of overlapped a little bit, and I am just gonna attenuate a little bit. Just a little bit. Kind of pull them together, just like that. And then I can go ahead and hold on to that and put a little twist in there and kind of let it travel up, park it a little bit, attenuate a little bit more, put a little bit more twist in there, and then I can start winding that back onto the spindle just for a moment, and then just attenuate a little bit more. And so basically I'm drafting the two bits of poof together into one yarn that's the same thickness as whatever single I'm going to want to have. And just winding it on and winding it on and winding it back on for a moment until, whoops, I want the spindle to go flying. That happens sometimes. It's okay. So now I've got back to where I was with the yarn that was on the plying ball. So now I can go ahead and take that plying ball out and just keep winding and wind off whatever I had on that spindle onto the plying ball. Like that. Just keep winding. And eventually you'll get down there and you'll have more poof. And you can go ahead and do another spindle's worth if you'd like. Just pull it off a little bit. You don't need a lot. You just want to have some loose fibers. You don't want to get all the way down to this tight part. It is really, really difficult to join two singles together when you've got so much twist in there. And if you only have a really thin single, it's going to be really hard to pick up enough loose fibers to really do a nice attenuated join. So that's why I say when you get started on your spindle, you want to have it a little thicker. Don't worry if it's a little thick, that beginning part, because when you go ahead and wind off, you are going to need that to give you the poofy fibers that you can overlay and then join together. And that is how I go ahead and join two spindles worth of spindle, or three spindles worth of singles, or as many as I want, into one continuous length of single that I have on a plying ball. And again, this is a Spindlewood Square spindle. This is like a midi size, I think, a medium size. They come in different lengths. You can get it any length shaft you want, and I highly recommend them. They are fabulous, fabulous spinners and gorgeous woods and fabulous people to work with. And so that's really a triad of excellence. Spindlewood spindles, joining fiber. Hope this has been some help. This is Chewy Docs saying, spin happy.